That's it. They trying to gaslight me. Yep, they trying to gaslight me to make me accept the shit. Clown.
First of all, I just want to say thank you, God. Not identify with any of these manipulations. But it's so fucking frustrating. Excuse my language. So freaking frustrating. But to listen to this first, they try to make me accept of this manipulation. It's just trash. Oh my God. They are just human low life. And it's okay. They don't know that yet until the time comes, and they'll see. Um, and I just have to be thankful while I can. Let me just say that. Thank you, God, that I'm living my life like this trash here. That I live day in and day out to recreate reality in this disgusting life, in these disgusting ways. I have to be strong. I have to see things for what they are. I gotta understand that this is what it's about. I am what you call a test subject. I'm a target individual. What it means is I'm being used as a guinea pig, and they're altering my brain in ways that are degrading. Because what's happening is I've been utilized to develop a weapon system of some sort. And I'm sure that also helps with the participation of others. When they rewire your brain, manipulate your brain these ways, they want you to be accepting of this. And you have a whole ecosystem, a control area, a control environment that is doing whatever they need to break me down into accepting this manipulation. It's disturbing. And it's hard to deal with it, but you have to find ways to deal with it. And you have to be strong in knowing who you are. Thankfully, there's nobody around me that is doing that to me. I have no respect for these people. They are trash, low life, and all sorts. I don't respect them. But when you hear this low life talking to me, I'm like, do you even hear yourself talk? Do you know how little respect you can even have for me? Like, and they use different tonalities. Sometimes they make themselves super angry. I'm gonna pay. They pay. And the reason why they do that is because this is what they do. They manipulate my brain today. In real time, my brain is being altered. But they're also altering my memories. What you see here is a baby, beautiful little girl of somebody who, I went to school with. Then I kept following on her, and truthfully, I had a little bit of a crush on her. At some point, I was like, hey, now that she's back in the area where I'm from, maybe I can try to meet her or something like that. But I never acted on it. But it's somebody who I was interested in. I wanted to be, I saw her back, but I remember after finishing high school, when I was in high school too, she left the States. I could follow her, see her that she was like in a relationship with somebody else. And so later on, she comes in back to the area where I used to live or I used to be in. And so I always had like, okay, maybe one day I can, get to see her. But at this point now, she has children. She had two children, beautiful children. There's this one little girl, adorable little girl, that today they're forcing me to have sexual stimulation toward. As a matter of fact, what you heard before was like noise campaign. They're supposed to gaslight me into accepting this. I don't know what they do this for at this point. Because they're slamming the door. I'm like, I don't respect you. You're a piece of shit working for pedos. So you're going to hear what they do. Right? And so I don't identify with any of this manipulation. It's like, imagine pedophiles. People who are renowned for doing pedophilia type of torture. People who are renowned to work for governmental entities who issue pedophilia, who try to like convince you, no, we're not manipulating you, we are this group of analyzers, we're analyzing your brain, we're not altering you. Shut up. You're a bunch of low life. And this is coming from all ecosystem that you have. They have a control environment that is supposed to gaslight you. They use tonalities. They use everything they can to convince you. But there's so little respect from me that it doesn't work. I think that's the thing. It's just like I don't respect these people. But on top of that, I'm too validated and I know myself. So what's happening is I'm dealing with what you call V2K. Right? V2K is the voice to skull technology. It's funny, I was with some kind of employer of some sort, and they used to make fun of like this man called Robert Duncan talks about, hey, voice to skull, skull, voice to God. They used it in war situation. In actually, like in I think the first Iraq war, they used it to kind of tell these soldiers to drop their weapons, and this is Allah, and because this is voice to skull is tapping in voices into your brain, and you don't know where the voices come from. This is old technology, actually. It's really old. It's military technology that they continuously develop. That's what they're using us for. This is the reality of what we are, just as subject to developing this technology that can destroy you in so many ways. And they're utilizing these destructing tactics on you to see what works better, what tactics that work for you, like what you're going to subscribe, what you're going to identify with. And with me, what they're doing right now is the typical things they've done to me. Now you're going to hear a lot of my videos. I've made so many videos about memory manipulation. So many. The first one was in summer of 2020, saying they are altering my mind currently in real time. They're changing my memories and then making me having this perception implemented in my memories that is what they make me experience today. And like, now we mapped it, right? And then they have gaslighters, right? They're perps. This is the controlled environment that is supposed to gaslight you into accepting these manipulations. It's non-stop. It's non-stop. And they have they're basically real life gimmicks. They know, okay, the job today is to look where there's babies, little girls, and make you have this manipulation of reaction. It's the same things over and over and over. Today it's another child. They're gonna be, okay, oh, the child of this person. Remember, put stimulation. This is bad because this is not too long ago. I remember before August 19, 2019. That's the date I will never forget. Because since that date, my brain has not been the same. I've been altered. Psychologically, big time. Physically, little by little. But on August 19, 2019, my brain hasn't been the same. But I used to be able to see this person's stories and Instagram profile normally, and see her babies and whatnot, and none of this manipulation. But today, it started yesterday actually, night. But they tried to do it before, but because of the fact that your brain gets worse and worse with time, it seems like with time, the degradation of your brain gets worse. The ability to think like you would think is erased, and you lose yourself more and more. Right? So today they can do these things, even though not too long ago I was able to see this kid and her family not, before August 19, 2019, normally. But today, it's the new version. Right? And they have this low life. And for me, at this point right now, where I'm at, there's a lot of childlike individuals. No, there is. There's something there. They say things like that via voice to skull. Tell me there's something there. Yes. And that's when you have to calm down. Because there is something there. And it's this fucking low life there in my brain, altering my brain. Doing what they do. Right? Now, for me, I have to find ways to calm myself down. Because what if these people do that in front of me? They obviously know that I don't identify with this. I know they manipulate my brain. I don't know exactly what they're part of. I understand what they're supposed to be doing to me. And they act this way. And they won't. Even just thinking about it sometimes, I'm like, what if I just snap? Because I don't even see these people as human beings anymore. I know it's like when I say sometimes I look at them, it's just like I'll see through them. I don't even look at them. It's like I truly see them for the shit that they are, the bottom feeders that they are, truly. But this bottom feeders, this shit can do these things to my brain because they're part of this program that can do this. And I know their job is to look for whatever they can to manipulate it and change it. I can do nothing about that. I'm truly powerless in that regard. And I have to accept that I will have the alter reaction that they want me to have. This is the truth. I'm not going to be, I can't lie to myself. I got to be accepting of that. Yes, my brain is for them to play with. It's going to go wherever they want it to go. This nothingness. But for them to think that I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling this, so it's me. No, I know what this technology is about. I've accepted reality that my brain is controlled, that my brain is altered and rewired, and they can do whatever they want to how I experience things. but the gimmickiness is so disturbing. Right before that, you heard the noise campaign, right? It's because they were making me think about how they just rewind my memory and make a noise campaign. That's how they gaslight you. So they make you experience these false memories. Then they act all agitated. Oh man, it's so you bound. You heard that, right? And you hear me saying that's what they do. That's what they do here. They do this manipulation, then try to gaslight you by making this noise campaign act all agitated because they made you think of this little girl, and then have you have these reactions, and then try to make you believe that this is natural. And they're so mad about it. Oh, we mapped you, trash us. This is what you do. You try to break me down using this pedophilia type of torture that you're renowned to be doing. And then they try to do everything possible. It's like, no, we mapped it to you as a kid. You see, remember, and then try to mix things up. And try like, I was able to see this baby normally. This beautiful girl. And me saying that's like, oh, you see beautiful. Yes, she's a very beautiful little girl. But now I'm experiencing in this disgusting sexual pedophilia ways that you force people to have. I understand, but play your games away from me, because I know what your job is supposed to do. You're supposed to alter my brain to have this reaction to babies like that. Target individual, for me, I've noticed that something is happening. For me, my body's destroying. I'm fading away. As expected, this is nothing I can do about it. But what I'm saying does come back to them, one way or another. And I keep saying it, because I refuse to let this trash live their fantasy. It was going to come to them regardless, but let me just not let them escape. Even in this time world, they're still gods. To understand here, this is what kind of god you are. You're a low-life trash that works day in and day out to manipulate the brain, like they said, and I know that. I'm not even going to give you the luxury of making me be doubtful about it. No, that's what you do. And then you're going to look for other babies to try to create this sexual stimulation. It's so disgusting. These beautiful babies. And now the stimulations, which is what I expect now. I gotta be strong, and that's truly some of the most tormenting things I experience in regard like psychologically. I know my body's breaking down and everything else, but this pedophilia thing is fucking, it's tormenting. It is. And I understand why they would use that as a tactic to break down a target individual. I understand why they will weaponize this technology in this fashion, because it is truly a weapon. It is hard to function when you deal with that. I understand why psychologically, cognitively, this will be like a warfare tactic, because it is tormenting. It is. But what a disgusting ways of, like, whoever come up with these tactics such as so disturbing, like, oh, you know what works? Making people have this reaction to children will break them down. Who can even come up with these tactics? Of course, these governmental entities know how to break people down, but the disgusting part is there's a lot of fucking pedophiles in these entities that come up with this technology, that develop this technology. But the most disgusting to see the people that control ecosystem that I have around me try to gaslight me to accept it. They're like, you think I'm going to ever let you live your fantasy? You think that you can tell me who I am? An opportunist low life like you? And they're like, no, there is something. And they're like, no, but I remember what you did as a kid. Yes, I'm an adult. And I remember as an adult being able to see this from nothing. Now, there is something. I wonder what is now. What is in my brain now? What is that? I wonder, is it possible that the people who are now to do the pedophilia type of torture are altering my brain to have this weird, disgusting reactions? Is that possible that that's what's happening? Is that something? Do you understand this slow life really trying to bring this? Okay. Yes. Target individual. Do not identify with the manipulation. They do the manipulation in all shape or form. They manipulate your thoughts in real time. They manipulate your memories. They manipulate your perceptions. They manipulate your libido. They manipulate your dreams. They are rewiring you. You know, last night they started like that. I woke up locked in. Completely locked in. Completely. And then you hear this perps coming in, and you know, via V2K, I swear, I don't know if they get Oscars, they get, but the acting is sometimes, it's just like, how do you stay in character for that long? They come in, it's like, oh, we mapped. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person does she even respect yourself? She knows we're going to listen to what they rewire the brain.
How they rewire the brain? Can you imagine to be that fucking to be so to disrespect yourself so much that you know this person that I'm supposed to act like is so you were mapped. He's gonna bring up, oh yeah, they do the perfect type of torture. They literally rewire the brain, the thought process. It's like a cognitive warfare. It's a offensive information, and they're just trying to see the tactics, the deceptive tactics. And you hear this woman, this trash, saying, "Oh no, we're not. He's so you." I'm like, oh god, thank you. And on top of that, I'm bringing up the fact that guess what disgusting trend they've been having? A bunch of pedophiles run these agencies. There's a lot of pedos in these DOD entities. There's a lot. So much so there's a big bill that was prompted because they were downloading so much child porn. Using DOD computers. These fucking retards are now out here. No, we mapped. That's how you. I pray they leave this low-lifeness for as long as possible. Let them find joy in how they can alter the brain when they have no control over themselves. Target individuals do not identify. Be glad that you're not one of these losers who can disrespect themselves like that. They're gonna keep looking for something else to manipulate, and they come, oh, we're mapped. That's how you. Fucking trash. And do you know what when they get frustrated? It's like, oh, you're gonna fight? Really? Fighting, huh? Can you imagine you're involved in a program that is using 21st century weapon system that is destroying the body? It's like, now you'll fight. Like, what? I'm dying because 21st century weapons. You talk about knocking me out? 21st century weapon system that can fucking make you evaporate. That's how much of fucking delusionality they've gone to. Imagine I have the nuclear bomb, and I can drop it. I'm dropping it, and I'm like, hey, you'll fight. That's how stupid it gets. You're like, what? I'll fight. You keep throwing these nuclear bombs at me, and you talk about fighting and knocking me out. This is the comparison I would say. The technology is even more sophisticated than any nuclear weapons that you can imagine. And they talk about your fight, you get knocked out. What? I have a fucking rich childlike person in pajamas slowly killing me, reviving me. And so, these clowns. The worst is when you see grown-ass women saying that, oh, they're gonna fight you. It's like, really? Are they fighting my liver right now? My kidneys? My pancreas? Is that what's happening? These people, they are human clowns that can do these things to you and then want you to like go into the world of retardation that they're in. Do not identify with the manipulation target individual. Understand that, yes, regardless of what they can do to you, there's not much you can do about it. Because we're talking about governmental entities that is developing the sophisticated technology that one might call the 21st century new weapon system. They can alter your brain in every way possible. The perps that you see around you, please don't be impressed by them. They can be the loseries of the loseries. For me, at least, there's a lot of childlike people that you look at them and like, oh God, Jesus. No wonder why you love this, because you feel empowered. There's nothing I can, Jesus. But the technology is one thing that you should never underestimate. It maybe is way past what you think and the ability of what it can do to you and to your mind. Accept that, but never identify with that. Never identify with the manipulations. Accept that your brain can be altered in the ways that you can't even understand. Matter of fact, you're being rewired. That's the reality. Your brain is being controlled. That's the reality. But their job is to try to make you identify with this control, these manipulations. To the point where, oh, there's something there. It's like, yeah, I wonder what it is. I wonder. What is there that for me now, this is experienced this way? Target individuals, stay strong and see this low life where they are.
Information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
I have that memory, but the perception changes in that memory. And sensations are added to it. It's nuts. It's just so weird to even try to explain something like that. Because it does feel so, so abnormal. But adding sensations, feelings, perceptions of things you weren't feeling, just to also create this narrative in this persona. And this really, is to the point where you don't even want to fall for any of your memories. It's all about deception. This is a video I made in 2020. Target individuals do not identify with these manipulations.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day. Human mind can be altered. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior.
Of innocent citizens being controlled by government-sanctioned experiments? Is Cheryl Welch telling the truth, or are her claims absurd? Just another conspiracy theory that's impossible to prove? Maybe. But not if you listen to Nick Begich.
I think there's some good evidence that Cheryl Welch and many of the other people I've spoken with have been victimized by this electromagnetic mind control experiments. The weapons of this century aren't bombs and bullets and ordnance, but electromagnetic energy targeting the human being, which is a greatest revolution in military affairs since gunpowder.
Begich is an expert in government mind control. He is convinced the Pentagon has mastered a technology once thought to be science fiction, the ability to broadcast information directly into the human brain.
Our government began spending a lot of time looking at how to modify behavior of human beings. Going back to the Korean War, in fact, in a publication, Low Intensity Conflict and Modern Technology, they have a chapter on electromagnetic weapon systems, being able to not just to debilitate someone, but actually even to stimulate certain activities within the brain.
But how?
HAARP is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, which started as a joint effort of the Air Force and Navy. This is a very large array or field of antennas based in Alaska, radio frequency antennas.
HAARP antennas transmit powerful radio signals into the upper atmosphere to study the effects on wireless communications. But Begich says HAARP can also be used for more sinister ends.
HAARP has announced several other programs and campaigns, and there's two areas that I got very concerned about. One was weather modification applications. The other was the effect on human beings. If you can modulate a signal that the brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response, the brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just to be about triggering emotions. You could change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts and being able to manipulate those, that requires a different kind of sophistication.
Can we hear sounds?
Designed to interact with the human nervous system in order to remotely pick up on someone's neural network or EEG and not only receive that and monitor it, but manipulate it and place it back into the victim to control their emotions or control their actions or bodily functions for that matter. The other more recent term we have for that is EEG heterodyning or EEG cloning. The difference between EEG heterodyning and EEG cloning would be, let's say, me remotely receiving your EEG and then duplicating it and putting that in another person to give them your same thoughts or feelings or physical reactions. EEG heterodyning would be receiving your EEG, manipulating it to put it back inside your head to give us a desired physical reaction or emotional reaction.
With external fields of all kinds. For radio frequency, you can look at the Radio Frequency Dosimetry Handbook, 1986, University of Utah, produced for the Air Force. It gives you the resonant frequencies for each vital organ so that you can send in a radio signal that will couple with the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, and cause them to malfunction so that you can degrade the performance of your adversary. The new weapon systems being developed today will attack the mind, the body, and our physiology on an energetic level. Not with bullets and bombs. It's a perfect Republican weapon. No offense to Republicans here, but you don't want to destroy the property. You're going to have to rebuild it afterwards. This is a weapon systems of the 21st century. It's the very beginning of it in a lot of ways, but the research goes back over 50 years.
My name is Dr. John Hall. I'm a medical doctor from Texas. As I understand the memorandum from the President, it's for you to determine if current legislation is adequate in protecting individuals and if there's any ongoing experimentation. In reviewing the common rule, it's very obvious that there's a lot of loopholes to informed consent. All of the horrific experiments you've mentioned, Willowbrook, MK Ultra, radiation experiments, mostly were done without informed consent. They were funded by the DoD and intelligence agencies, where I'm not even so sure you would know if there's an IRB, much less if an IRB is looking at informed consent. As a physician, relative to some of what you're hearing today, in the community, we are seeing an alarming rate of complaints of use of electromagnetic weapons, microwave auditory effects, silent sound spectrum, EEG cloning, which has taken the lab out of the laboratory and into the home. Most of these, from the research that we reviewed, can be done remotely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation of being exposed to electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation for the use of cognitive control or behavior control. I've submitted a paper to you, and there's another paper submitted to each member from another physician in Kansas City alluding to the same thing.
You do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War. You can call it a eugenics program even. But also walk them to their, they want to see if they can, hyper game theory. How do you, they want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define their probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control a brain? Most people don't believe that. Well, you can't control me. I have my own free will.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds. And vice versa.
They use these monarch-style torture programs, like it's based on sex and trauma. So they're gonna traumatize you. They're gonna use your libido to get back at you, and
this technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal.
Experience what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and form of torture. They coordinate the voice. I really mean extreme. I experienced an entire night with forced spontaneous orgasms repeatedly all through the night, one right after another, with maybe around 1 hour of sleep or so, as I lay immobilized in my bed.
In my mind, I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to me and my family. Ben said the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continue. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS, so just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use. A people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them I able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
Be my guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, you know, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
cognitive warfare.
Exactly. It's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can,
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds.
Personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, this, okay, so.
So this gets into creating Manchurian candidates, split personality, and information curtains, you know, satanic ritual. Okay, so they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's. So they'll say we're the V2K. So they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, you know, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
It's already being used. I mean,
if you talk to the victims, the TIs, one of the worst breakdowns, and it's pretty common. I think I can say the word simulated rape and forced orgasm.
You can say anything you want. This is the internet.
Okay. And so simulated orgasms and rape is extremely common, and especially violating for women. They complain about that torture breakdown the most.
You feel that you've been in justice?
You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me?
Well, in terms of your being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how you perceive yourself as being.
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, "How do I know you didn't do that to yourself?" How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations. Not 1, but 2. The one physician said, "You're mentally sound as a bell." He said, "I don't have any idea what's going on with you." When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both of my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of the...
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2976
But if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women. The next speaker.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Buckner, and I have been a targeted individual for a very long time. The things I have experienced due to being targeted, they have been unreal. But however, I can personally attest that this is very real indeed. My life has been destroyed in every possible way, and every day has been a struggle for me. I'm very grateful to be before you today due to Amy Anderson's due diligence and to everyone else involved. I thank you, council members, for giving us targeted individuals a chance to speak and to be heard. And I pray that these atrocities will soon be brought to an end. But we need your help. Thank you.
Alex.
Military medical research. I too believe my experience is referred to as no-touch torture, utilizing defense technologies. Jonathan Marino, he basically predicted all this a number of years ago in his book Undue Risk. I'm asking you to help initiate a congressional investigation. We've all come a long way. This is what is needed. We want to have the accounts of this extreme human rights abuse that's going on in our country documented and heard, all of the accounts. We also need what was done during the Clinton administration, which is a major declassification of some of these documents that are hiding what's been going on. I speak for many when I say we've suffered long enough. My personal experience has been 10 years. I've been vilified. I've been ostracized. I've been tortured. I have burns on my body. I'm an American. I have rights. The answer to the question, the big question today, could it happen today? The answer is yes, it is happening today. It is happening for some of us every day. I am begging for you to help us. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leslie Crawford. I'm here from the state of Michigan. I wanted to speak about biotechnology applications being utilized on my person. I have medical reports showing eye damage being done to my eyes. My eyes does not have a mirror image. I also have nanowiring inside my eyes. I have pictures of the actual implants from the eye doctor. Once enlarging the nano implants, you will see a copy of the actual particles in my eyes. I have CAT scans, MRIs, and PETs showing wiring, nanowiring in my head. This is my brain. It's straight from the right side to the left side of my head. I also have implants in my chin, in the chin region on both sides. One side shows a wire, the other side shows the actual implant. Implant particle devices coming down through here. Projectiles of the nanoparticles on the side of my head. Enlarged pictures. These crimes is happening in America. This is a domestic problem, not only international. the victims is not being just victimized individually. We are being victimized and our family members as well. Gang stalking tactics and harassment was utilized to implement us into this program unconsensually.
Leslie, I think your comments reinforce much of what we've heard, and if you don't mind, I'd like to make room for others at the microphone now, since it seems to be reinforcing. Juan, I'd ask you to pick somebody, this gentleman right here. Yeah.
She's been waiting.
I'm sorry, who's been waiting? Oh, yeah, please.
Okay. My name is Eugenia Durden.
I'm sorry, Eugenia?
Eugenia Durden, yes. Everything I've heard from this commission and this panel about ethics, they were mostly talk about pharmaceuticals research, but I haven't heard anyone talking about a psychotronic weapon research or bioelectromagnetic weapon research. Who in this panel are familiar with the psychotronic weapon? Raise your hand, please. Who of you know about psychotronic weapons? Any one of you? Psychotronic bioelectromagnetic weapons. Are you familiar with that?
Not at all.
No? Okay. In this audience, is anybody familiar with a psychotronic weapon? Okay. Okay, the audience is familiar with that, and I think that in order for a panel or a commission to be able to help this problem and this issue, we'll have to have more knowledge on what psychotronic weapons are. I am physically leashed from my neck to the electromagnetic power of one of the weapons that is being used against me. I get tortured day and night. At night is with nightmares and all kinds of dreams that I don't want in my head. And throughout the day is my body. They prod with my neurological system, so they do anything to my body. Sometimes it's painful, sometimes.
My name is Dr. John Hall.
In a way, I'm very sorry to address you like this because I think that what you're doing is very admirable. But I'm here to represent this other group, and I am also targeted, and this is my story. My name is Sandra Field. I'm an architect, recipient of Who's Who of Women in America Achievement Award, and have run a successful business for over 28 years. My life and livelihood have been compromised for the last 11 years by being attacked by electromagnetic radiation torture and by organized stalking. I cannot live in my rent-stabilized apartment in New York City as a result of this torture. I'm currently staying in motels and friends' houses in the last year. Thousands of Americans are currently suffering from chemical, electromagnetic, psychological, and physical torture with no government relief or laws. Our servicemen, prisoners, and thousands of unknowing innocent civilians are currently being lamed, tormented, and tortured as a result of military research, medical research, pharmaceutical research, physiological and psychological studies that have virtually destroyed participants' sanity, physical well-being, reputation, and privacy.
And the plan is that Mr. Juan Chuck back here will be, has the list of folks that will be offering comment. And maybe the thing to do is to just dive into that. I want to remind you before we do that the commission, of course, is charged looking at on the topic of
Ms. Cassandra Lewis.
Hi, Ms. Lewis.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Cassandra Lewis, and I'm a targeted individual from Baltimore, Maryland. My story may sound disjointed. I'm trying to keep it within the minute and a half. I worked as a legal secretary at Hogan and Hartson in Washington, D.C. It is now called Hogan Lovells. Attorney Jan McDavid made a client mistake that she tried to blame on me. I then refused to work for Ms. McDavid. Shortly thereafter, strange and inexplicable events occurred on my job, and after being fired, followed me to my home and to all my travels. Attorney Christopher J. Hagan, formerly of Hogan and Hartson, Mr. Samuel Conrad, he's a retired security administrator of Hogan and Hartson, and Robert Johnston, who is the current firm administrator of Hogan Lovells, are responsible for my targeting. I believe to protect Ms. McDavid's reputation, a phone call was made. To whom and why they did this to me, I truly just speculate. Gang stalking and harassment was used to implement this non-consensual biotechnology application that is being used on me. I now experience involuntary limb movements. I receive stingings. I get pains to my head, to my abdomen, to my vaginal area, and to my anal area. I am receiving...
Mrs. Marshall?
Good afternoon. My name is Connie Marshall. I'm a former mayoral candidate from Louisville, Kentucky. I have never been involved in any criminal activity. I found a document in my bank account that said, problem with Kentucky government, check federal government paperwork and file before releasing information to anyone. I am an 8-year victim survivor of assaults by directed energy weapons. The torture I've experienced consists of body overheating, body extremely cold, seizures, heart pain, earaches, itching behind eyes, burning behind eyes, swelling, headaches, involuntary movement of my limbs, exhaustion, speeding and heart racing, hair coming out by the handfuls as if I've had chemotherapy, mind paralysis, being hypnotized or placed in a trance-type state, being tracked by a drone or satellite, controlled dreams, sleep deprivation, V2K, which is voice to skull, projected sound, extreme muscle spasms, and extreme muscle cramps, being made to fall down, blue circles around the pupils of my eyes, and I'm here and you can look at them if you like, low frequency noises in my home, high frequency noises in my home, sexual stimulation, numerous electrical appliances in my home are destroyed, 4 computers, 2 fax machines, 7 telephones, 4 CD players, VCR, DVD players, electrical igniter switch on my furnace, washer and dryer, air conditioner, also my car radio, CD player, and engine were destroyed. I am watched in my home 24 hours a day and followed around everywhere I go, though I do not have a criminal history. When I ran for mayor of my town, I was also attacked at debates and forums. My website is www.justiceforallcitizens.com. Thank you. And I would like to leave these flyers with you all as well.
Perverted, involving many combinations of sensory and motor manipulation of my mind and body and of the people around me. This includes many different types of zaps to varying degrees to the genitals, butt, anus, and the entire pelvic area. This also includes many kinds of movements, such as the rocking, swaying, jolting, vibrating, and shaking of my entire body or various body parts, specifically in a sexual way. The severe vibration is a highly noxious stimuli and is very intolerable. They sometimes do pulses or throbbing sensations on the genitals too, etc. There are also body movements such as rocking my pelvic area back and forth, repeated rubbing sensations, the sensation of something going up my crotch and in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also experience what is referred to as malodorance. Anything electronic. They have even locked me out of my office building that uses an electronic key. It is often very difficult and an immense battle just to even sit on the toilet to go to the bathroom. not only because of the bowel and bladder manipulation, but also because of the frequent severe sexual assaults on the genitals, my butt and anus, shaking, vibrating, and rocking my body back and forth, and forced eyeball movements, and phantom touch sensations, doing rubbing sensations, etc.
But I was going to be shot in the face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, she's going to get shot in the face. You know, sound like an angry ass old person. You know, then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Don't get shot in the face. You know, stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the Voice of Skull, it's a bunch of females. You know, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think it's nothing wrong with them?
So yesterday I went to the beach and like drank a couple of beers and just sat down there after laying in bed and sobbing for 2 hours because the private parts of my body were being burned and my breasts are removed. And it's the trauma from it. It's not being able to cope with the pain and the emotional trauma that comes from someone harming me using, I guess, remote medical technology is my best guess. I went and saw a dermatologist. Hey, I just woke up after a pretty rough night. The same thing happened last night as the night before, which was whenever I was trying to go to sleep. The private parts of my body began being burned again, and it felt like someone pushing out stream. I can feel it's going to be the same again today. Already on the harming of the private parts of my body. I don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine because what actually happens to me, a lot of strange things. I've been doing some research, I guess what it's called, organized stalking. I'm called a targeted individual. But the abuse last night was pretty extreme. I can feel it's going to be the same again today. Already on the harming of the private parts of my body. I don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine because what actually happens to me, what is happening to me is my actual physical body is being burned. So it causes me to go into shock and it's excruciatingly painful. And I have my limitations on the duration and length of pain that I can handle. So it was a couple of weeks ago, I tried, but I don't know if the government has the right to watch and the proper in a lot of capacities of the things that I've faced. So today just feeling some pretty general fear about my own safety, because the government's burning the private parts of my body. Sometimes it feels like a laser or like pins and needles, like a tattoo. Sometimes it feels like a sunburn. All of that today. This morning, it's like not even noon yet here, and already I'm experiencing the pain and the harm to my body, to the private parts of my body. Today I'm actually dealing with something that's like, it's different than the burning the private parts of my body. It feels like somebody is trying to literally like cut the inside of my body, of my vagina, and I'm bleeding, and it's like bright red blood, and it's extremely painful. And I've talked to 2 people about it today. I've kind of talked to
become very brittle and suddenly I will somehow have a lot of fractures from minor things like stepping off of curbs. And this is just a hypothesis. It's based on past experience of things that have happened, of how the system tries to cover up things that it does to people by saying like, oh, well, this was pre-existing, or oh, it was just your natural normal body. See, look, now you have something else going on that points to this. I don't know how to explain to you how deep corruption goes, but it's, you know, I'm dealing with it, baby. But I suspect that's what's going to happen. I hope not. Hopefully this video being out in the world and people being my voice will make so that that doesn't happen. It is absolutely unacceptable for the government to be watching and for teenagers to be sexually assaulted and raped, which is what happened to me, that I have been under close watch for my entire life, and horrible, horrifying, heinous things have happened to me, and no one has been prosecuted. And that is the absolute truth. And
went to bed. I had all, and they had relatively high floor, and they had all of a sudden I had been there like 4 or 5 days, and the night before I was attacked really bad, I noticed a maintenance man about 10 or 11 o'clock at night messing with all of the lights up and down the hallway. And as I'm sorry, I get kind of upset when I think about this because it's really messed up. And my spidey sense went off, and I was really kind of nervous about like what the hell he was doing out there, because he was kind of a sinister, he was real creepy kind of person. So so the next night, I believe it was a Friday night, I went to bed. I had all of the doors, all the locks on the door, even the one that kind of like goes over that you can't open from the outside. I had everything locked up. Figured I was safe. I went to bed maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, bleeding out of every hole, sick. Someone was in my room, or had been in my room. Food was missing. My dogs were traumatized. I had been obviously sexually assaulted in all the worst ways possible. I got up, first thing I did was vomit. And all I wanted to do was I was just in shock. There was a do not disturb sign on my door, and I didn't do this. And there was lotion all over my bathroom floor. All I wanted to do was just get on a plane and get the hell away from everybody. And I was, you know, very, very sick and in a lot of pain. I had already been denied a rape kit when I owned my house, and woke up, and my hair had obviously been pulled out, and there were earplugs in my bed. And I felt like someone had done something. I went to Palos Community Hospital under the directions of a non-compromised police officer who told me that if anything happened, to go right to the hospital. So I did. And I had a compromised doctor who treated me like a third-rate citizen and said she would give me an STD test and a drug test. But she refused me a rape kit. And so I had already been kind of traumatized with hospitals anyway. and honestly just wanted to leave. So I stayed in my room until about checkout, and then when I was downstairs waiting for my cab to come to
pinpoint one person, it's everybody, it's all the time, and so it discredits your character and your state of mind, which, starts to make everybody believe something's wrong with you, and then you start believing something's wrong with you. But it's not you, and you know that it's not you. It's just hard to prove. But don't go get, mental health help. Don't see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Most of the time, they're involved too. Your police are involved, your firemen, ambulance, people at hospitals, they're all involved. And it's unfortunate that we live in a society that gets a kick out of doing people like that. But it is what it is. The only thing you can do is stay strong and focus on the people you love. I was lucky enough to have my mother who was going through the same thing that I was going through. They started saying all kind of crazy stuff to her at her jobs, and
I am a victim of organized stalking, electronic harassment, microwave torture, V2K abuse, and I'm asking you to help us end this crime against humanity, which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture. And I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And I'm a victim of organized
We need
stalking,
this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, and I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the U.S., in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, microwave torture,
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the targeting continues in New Zealand. I'm making this video in remembrance of Targeted Individual Day, our third annual Targeted Individual Day. And I'm asking that every honest-hearted human being open their eyes to a crime.
My name is Jeanette. I am 56 years old and I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a victim of covert electronic harassment and torture. I am a targeted individual.
Hello.
Why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. It's brutally painful. I have a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions. I observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe
and have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured.
Why? Was a mentally unstable individual.
This shotgun is the primary murder weapon. On it he etched a number of carvings, including "End to the Torment," "Better Off This Way," and my ELF weapon. Alexis had been hearing voices and believed he was being bombarded by microwaves, something naval authorities knew about.
There are multiple indicators that Alexis held a delusional belief that he was being controlled or influenced by extremely low frequency, or ELF, electromagnetic waves.
And in his computer files, the FBI found this.
A document retrieved from the electronic media stated, quote, "Ultra-low frequency attack is what I've been subject to for the last 3 months. And to be perfectly honest, that is what has driven me to this."
And so on what should have been a routine day, Alexis killed 12 people, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters.
Diane, they never had a chance, and still no answers as to why so many red flags were missed.
As you say, so many red flags. Thank you, Pierre.
People.
About his time spent here in New Mexico.
As sick as this may sound, I've even had stalkers follow me into church while I was in Las Cruces and in Houston. I've had stalkers follow me into church to harass me.
May had worked as a prosecutor in Las Cruces just weeks before the shooting. In his last words, May speaks of his paranoia and coins himself as a targeted individual who's been a victim of stalking and harassment. He talked about a trip to Houston where he said cars would drive by and honk their horns every 10 minutes to keep him on the edge and agitated.
Father, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Forgive me for all of my sins, past sins, present sins, any future sins.
What do you mean by that? It's happening at work? At work. I had to quit my job, go to a different place to try to leave it, and then it's there as well. So. What were they saying at work? And everywhere, so yeah. What do you mean by that? A lot of sense. What do you mean by that? It's happening at work? At work. I had to quit my job, go to a different place to try to leave it, and then it's there as well. So.
What were they saying at work?
Huh?
What kind of stuff were they?
Yeah, I'm a pedophile. I like little boys. I like little girls.
And what kind of stuff were your friends talking about?
Same exact stuff. It's the same thing.
Do the people at where you work know the people that you serve with?
They live in Boston. They're all somewhat close areas. But do they know each other?
Do they know each other?
I don't know.
So when you say you hear bits and pieces, how do you hear the bits and pieces?
Just throwing in conversations or when I turn my back.
Okay. All right. They mentioned that you have some hearing aids, right?
Yeah.
How long have you had those?
4 months, 3 months now.
Okay. All right. How long have these issues been going on at home, work, here?
It's been about 6 months now.
Okay. All right. Did you say you got the hearing aid?
3 months ago, because I was hearing shit and everyone was looking at me and talking, and I watch people. That's what I do. And no one looks at me. No one talks. Like, I'm pretty invisible until all of a sudden now everyone fucking knows who I am.
Around others wounded. The first 911 call coming in around 7 p.m. from a local bowling alley that was hosting a youth night for a kids' bowling league.
We have an active shooter. We have multiple injuries.
Authorities releasing these surveillance images showing the suspect they're looking for. His name is Robert Card, and he's pictured armed with an AR-15 style rifle.
Mr. Card is considered armed and dangerous, and police advise that Maine people should not approach him under any circumstances.
Megan Hutchinson and her 10-year-old daughter Zoe were at the bowling alley. Zoe's leg grazed by a bullet.
I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg. Why? Like, why do people do this?
After allegedly shooting several people inside the bowling alley, Card is believed to have traveled about 4 miles to a local bar and restaurant.